You consider yourself a business owner, not someone who just does Plexus or dabbles along the way. I'm asking if you see this as a real business, a legitimate asset with real earning potential that can create stability, freedom, even the possibility of long term wealth for your family. Because the answer to that question matters. If you truly believe that this business is worth building, then we have to talk about what it means to actually own it. I'm Rebekah Fowlkes, Diamond Ambassador with Plexus, and I am passionate about helping people grow successful businesses here, not just start them. I know y'all seen that a lot too. So why is that? Why do some people start and not actually get to the successful part of their businesses? Let's talk about what makes the difference. Okay. First up, I want to give you a little bit of perspective. If this were a traditional business, you probably would have had to raise capital, take on debt, hire employees, get some kind of licensing or certification, maybe put your life savings on the line or get investors to buy into your dream. And if you did all that, you would probably show up differently. You would want to protect your investment. You would take ownership and treat it like it mattered, like everything was on the line. But here's the reality about starting a Plexus business. This business model doesn't require that same kind of financial investment, but it absolutely requires other forms of investment. And you've already made some of them, right? Your time, your energy, your reputation, maybe your hopes and your dreams for what's possible here. And because of that, we want to honor the investment that you've already made. Because when you zoom out and you look at what's possible here, when you've seen what other people have accomplished and you say, oh, if it's possible for her, it's possible for me. That's what your dreams and your hopes and your beliefs are made out of, right? But when you start to kind of look at where you are and where you want to be, you might notice a gap right there in the middle, right? And it's not because you're not qualified, not because it works for some people and not for others, or because they have something that you don't. That gap exists because of one thing, and that is ownership. The ownership is the bridge between the life that you have and the life that you want. So today, we're going to break down what ownership really looks like and the pieces that have to fall into place to close that gap for good. My boys are high school athletes with big goals. And so ownership is a big topic around here. And this quote by Peter Drucker is one that I have on their mirrors. It says, the best way to predict your future is to create it, to own it. As Mel Robbins says, no one's coming, right? This is your dream, then it's here to build your very own self. And so we have the freedom to dream big dreams and to go after them, right? Freedom is what we talk about all the time in this business because freedom is attractive. There's no boss hovering over you, no timesheets or commute, no dress code. You work from anywhere, dress however you want, make as much money as you want. And so freedom sounds amazing, right? And it is. But freedom is only one side of the equation. The freedom is what we call autonomy. And autonomy is beautiful. It's exciting. It attracts people here in the first place. But I don't want you to forget this part. Autonomy without agency won't take you anywhere. Autonomy means I have freedom. Agency means I take responsibility, and you need both. Because listen, homeless people have autonomy too, right? No boss, no schedule, no time clock, total freedom. But I don't think a lot of us are lining up for that kind of life, right? It's not just the freedom that we want. Autonomy alone isn't the differentiator. It's agency that makes the difference. And this is something that I tell my kids all the time. I say, you have complete will. You can choose to do whatever you would like to do. However, you don't get to choose the consequences. And that applies here too. You can choose to work or not to work, to follow up or not to follow up, to get in conversations or not get in conversations. You have the autonomy and the freedom to choose any action, but you don't get to choose the outcome that that choice produces. Autonomy gives you those choices. Agency is what's going to give you the results. So I want to get practical here for a minute. Ownership isn't just a mindset, it's a method. And there's a few simple things that you can do that you can build into your weekly rhythm that will change your business. And if you actually see them, you will see movement. You're going to see conversations. You're going to see volume, growth, all the good things. Because remember, it's output over outcome. You can't evaluate just good ideas and good strategies and good plans. You can only evaluate action. So the first thing that I want you to think about is deciding what you're doing this week. Okay. So you're going to decide ahead of time in advance. This is your planning sesh. So you want to sit down and map out, what do you want your week to look like? How many reach outs? How many conversations? How many times are you posting on social? Where are you posting on social? Are you going to have a messenger chat? Are you going to host an event this week? This is you deciding ahead of time your output. This is when you're going to be the most optimistic about everything that you can accomplish before you actually get into it. This is how you lead your business business. You're not just waiting to feel inspired, waiting to see how the day goes, where you can fit it in the nooks and crannies. You're telling your time where to go before you get into it. Business owners are going to plan their week. The dabblers are going to wing it. Okay. So I missed one. Okay. Number 2 is deciding how you're tracking it. Because listen, what you don't measure, you will eventually stop doing. So what are you tracking? Where are you tracking it? Is that going to be on some kind of IPA sheet? Is it going to be an app on your phone? Maybe in the notes section of your phone, a Google sheet, whatever it looks like. Where is your accountability? Because writing a plan is step 1. Tracking the plan is step 2. If I ask my kids, how many lifts did you do this week? Or what were your macros like this week? Did you stay on track? And they're like, yeah, I think I did that, right? No, you have to be able to write it down so we can get to the third part of this, which is to evaluate. Because if you don't evaluate, you're not going to be able to see what is this progress looking like. This is where a lot of people fall off. They plan, they try, they do a little, but they never review. And reviewing is where the magic happens. So pick a time in a day every week. When am I going to sit down and look at my numbers, my activity, my effort, my insights, just like I do for my boys? Sunday afternoon, we are stepping on that scale. We're going to see how disciplined you are, because the numbers don't lie. Now, what I want you to do right now is to actually implement something. So I want you to hit pause on this video and literally set an alarm in your phone. This is going to be, when are you going to do your weekly planning session? What are you doing? When are you doing it? This is going to be the time where you're writing, your task list down. You're telling yourself, this is when I'm working my business day by day, task by task. Maybe you set a second alarm for your review session, and label it in there. What is this? So when that alarm goes off, set it as a recurring alarm that's going off every week in the same time. You are setting your intentions and then you're reviewing it. So you're going to plan it, you're going to track it, and you're going to evaluate it. This is ownership in motion, because it's output over outcome. You can't just evaluate ideas. You can only evaluate action. And I want to prepare you for something that's going to come up along the way. Okay. God reminds me of this verse all the time, so many different areas of my life. And so I'm going to share it with you guys. It says, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. So what does that mean? Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, is speaking on a universal truth here. It is rarely the big moments that derail us. Okay. The obvious obstacles, not some giant catastrophe that just takes someone out of their purpose. It's actually the little foxes. It's the little things, the unnoticed things, the excuses that we say with a totally straight face, the habits that we call normal, but are actually eroding our potential. And I think it's so interesting that it says here, the little foxes ruin what's in bloom. So the things that are already growing, the places where you're already seeing progress, that are healthy, that are filled with potential. And I want you to hear me on this. Okay. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you've got little foxes that are running wild, distracting you, thoughts that you're ruminating on. Maybe it's doom scrolling instead of connecting. Maybe it's doing all the productive procrastination, right? All of a sudden it's time to do your work, and then you decide it's the time to organize your closet or clean your potties or anything but do what you're supposed to be doing in your business. It's kind of telling yourself, ooh, I could go be doing something with my family right now. That's what I need to be doing. Even though you've already told yourself, this is the time that I'm spending with my family. This is the time that I'm working out. This is the time I'm working my business. Overthinking your next post and never posting it. All these little foxes that are, you're telling yourself it's freedom. You have the freedom to choose those things. And so your love of autonomy, your love of being in control and not doing something that's uncomfortable that you don't want to do, is self-sabotaging your very own hopes and dreams. So Solomon is saying it's not the big stuff. It's the little inattention, the little lapses, the little, I'll do it tomorrow's, those unseen choices that eat away at your consistency. So ownership means you're preparing for the little foxes. It means acknowledging distractions are going to come. Resistance is going to show up. Excuses are going to sound convincing. And I'm going to decide ahead of time what I'm going to do about it. So this is why your weekly plan matters. This is why tracking matters and evaluation matters. You're not just planning for goals. You're preparing for the foxes. So you're building that fence around your vineyard, which is your business, your purpose, your future income, all the things. Because if you don't plan your priorities, your distractions will always plan them for you. Ownership isn't only about discipline. It's about belief. Okay. So our belief is what we're doing, how we are going to pave the way to our consistency. If you're being inconsistent, belief might be your problem. And so where we see kind of attrition happening in different areas of our business, belief is definitely a way that we're losing parts of our business by when it starts to leak. Okay. So that could be someone ghosting you posted no one comments, someone reaches out because they've had a detox response to some of the products, and all those little beliefs starts dripping out. And if you don't actively deposit back into your belief bank, the withdrawals will outweigh your reserves. So business owners, not dabblers, are going to be filling up their belief every day. So how do you do that? Through testimonies, the people that you're around, that community, having a product story and being really aware of it. What are the reasons why I believe in these products? What have I seen with people in my family, people that are close to me, knowing what the products do for other people? Your belief is going to compound, and so is your doubt. So you've got to own that. So you get to choose which one you are funding. And so guard your belief by that. This business is not complicated. It isn't even all that difficult, but it is a battle of willpower and grit, a battle of follow through, a battle of showing up when everything in you wants to slow down, sit down, or shut down. And the real question isn't, can you do this? Of course you can do this. The real question is, will you do this? Will you keep going when your feelings don't like it? Will you stand up to your excuses and your distractions and say, not today, I've got something to build? Will you set business hours and honor them? Will you execute daily, even in the small ways? Will you stay committed to the output, even when the outcome hasn't caught up yet? Every dream you've written down, every what if, every imagine if, they are all possible. But possibility belongs to people who stay in motion. So stay in action, period. It's not going to look perfect, or, maybe a big following or whatever it is that you're thinking that it's going to need to look like, but it is going to look like ownership and agency, a weekly plan, tracking, evaluating, and a belief bank that stays full. And if you do those things, you will outlast 90% of people in this industry, and you will build something that looks a whole lot like freedom. So stay in action, stay in belief, stay in the fight. Your future self, your future team will thank you. I'm cheering you on, friends. Keep going. Bye, guys.